Hi, welcome to Pro Wrestling Review, the only wrestling television show in the world that does not have new ownership. I'm Brian Krasman from the Daily News.
I'm Randy Detour from the Tribune Review.
With us as always, to our very left, that's Jim DeBruzzo, and to our right, there's Tom Combetti, kids. And, well, WrestleMania 17 is this weekend. It's the biggest pay-per-view in wrestling history, but we can't talk about that right now because there's bigger news, believe it or not. And something that's been talked about here for weeks and weeks and weeks, and the speculation obviously finally hit Monday night. WWF owns WCW. It's a done deal, so now we can talk good things about WCW. Yay!
Oh, I thought Fusion bought it, so I was kind of out of the loop.
So now, when you say owns, you don't mean on a whooping their ass on a rating standpoint. You mean actually they've purchased the business.
Well, either or.
Well, yeah, that's true. But they've paid money to own the rights. Oh, whatever.
Well, I don't want to rain on anybody's parade. I didn't want to say what I wanted to say, but I got a scoop from Blackjack Brown.
Oh, God.
This was this morning. ECW bought all two companies and Heroes of Wrestling rights. So there's a scoop from Pro Wrestling Review right there. Paul Heyman's back in the game.
Isn't it true that Captain Lou Albano is going to be booking for ECW also?
I thought just crying, not booking.
Well, that Wrestling for Dummies 2 book's coming out. So
We did get a fax, though, right here that Jake Roberts will require crack before he'll work. So, can't have everything.
Let's start looking.
Yeah. Well, we saw a clip that started off actually at the beginning of our show this evening. My God, what a surreal night. What a surreal moment. Absolutely the most amazing moment in wrestling history. Something I never thought I'd see. And something even now, it being, Saturday evening, the night before WrestleMania, and I'm still just in shock.
Yeah, like you said in the opening, I mean, WrestleMania, it is the biggest pay-per-view of the year, but yet it still takes a backseat to this. Obviously, like you said, the biggest news ever in wrestling. And to see Shane McMahon, with the Nitro logo next to his name, it was insane.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you just listen to Vince and his monologue. You're just kind of sitting there staring. I was actually flipping back and forth between Raw and Nitro, waiting to see something happen and see what was going on. It was really, really unusual.
Well, just a little more on that. I mean, we all knew it was coming. All throughout the weekend on different websites, WWF.com, WCW.com, they had the news posted from the press release, basically. But like you said, just seeing it on Monday night, Vince on Nitro with the logo in the corner, it just didn't sit. I mean, not so much it didn't sit right. Just one of those things you just never thought you'd see.
Yeah.
Much like this show.
Yeah. It was truly amazing. I don't know. I mean, it's tough to even put it into words. I mean, really, I guess maybe we should give the people at home some background as to what the hell happened, since it looked like Fusion was going to buy them. And
yeah, they pretty much, the deal didn't go through. I think we said they weren't able to find the television clearance, and that's pretty much was the snagging part of the contract. And WWF kind of just slid in there and grabbed them up for what I would think would be a decent price for a wrestling
there
company.
was some, and this is very preliminary, don't go calling your dads telling anybody this, but the
Invest!
Yeah, the reported dollar the reported dollar amount that WWF paid for WCW was like $10 to $20 million, which knowing that, I mean, hell, what were we doing? We were just
my
totally
checkbook
caught
was
off guard.
ready. No one
Yeah,
called.
I was going to say, McMahon outbid us by $5 million, so I think that's what happened.
Unfortunate, but the one thing we've talked about in the past about it, a possibility of WCW being purchased by the WWF is what will this do to the industry? And I know that we talked a couple weeks back about how this could be bad, this could kill competition as we know it. But I think at the point that WCW was at, especially as far as Fusion just completely bowing out and there really being no other suitors, WCW was going to die last night if WWF didn't buy them. And this really, truly was the only way to keep WCW alive.
Yeah, it's one of those things now. I mean, you look at it, and technically the WWF's going to run it as a separate company, but there's still everybody who knows anything knows that Vince McMahon runs them both. So technically the competition isn't there. But from a storyline perspective and a television perspective, you can still have that competition, obviously with Shane McMahon playing the character that runs WCW and Vince running the WWF.
Well, you look at it this way, Vince is probably going to say to himself, well, how am I going to make more money on this? And if that amount is true, what he paid for WCW, if he builds up the ratings for WCW television, builds up the buy rates, he's going to make money off of WCW, and I don't want to say not has to worry about the WWF profit, but I mean that's more profit for him, obviously.
Well, let's not forget probably the biggest loser in this whole situation, well, besides a lot of the guys that were shown on TV last night, McMahon ridiculing, is probably Eric Bischoff. And we know you're going to start your own company in about 6 months. Well, not actually,
And
but
it's going to falter in about 1 month.
when Hogan's your centerpiece and he's wrestling Randy Savage week to week and they both die in the ring, we'll love it. Happened on Heroes of Wrestling. There's another reference. That's number 2 for the show.
That's right. We'll show a clip and laugh and get emails, but
But the point is, Eric Bischoff, over time, may develop another company. with, if you want to get back to the competition aspect of it, whether or not he gets a TV deal, obviously, well, I mean, it may or may not even happen.
You show up at the doors of Fox and with Rick Steiner and anybody else you can find who weighs 300 pounds and makes $2 million, you're gold.
The other thing too last night that the thing that I found kind of, well, not really funny, kind of funny in a sadistic way, but sort of strange was Vince just sort of firing people in the air. Like, if you think that him saying Jeff Jarrett was gone, if he was just making part of a story.
G-O-N-N-E? He's something like that.
He's gone. You don't extort Vince McMahon and expect to keep a job, and that's essentially, reports indicate what he did when he left that company. Have fun in, Japan, Jeff.
This may be a first. I think there may actually be a bridge burn in wrestling that may stay burned.
Yeah.
So this is definitely a weekend of first.
And we are naturally referring to the franchise, Shane Douglas, who will never be heard from again. I believe he's on America's Most Wanted, or that show with Robert Stack. So, Shane, I love you, but I'll never see you again. So let me just take a moment here.
Go New Brighton.
Walk off.
Yeah. Yeah, and Shane really, maybe this is the best thing for him, too, because he's just sustained so many injuries over the last couple of years and, was having problems keeping his body in shape. And, he's an intelligent human being. I mean, he definitely has a lot of other things he could do in his life. It's not like, he ain't going to be working at racks like totally buff. I mean, Shane Douglas definitely will go on to something else.
It's funny, you saw on Nitro, I think it was Eric Bischoff, Subway's hiring. I actually know a Subway that needs some help.
Ever.
I know a Subway near here that needs new employment.
Well,
so Eric,
to be outdone by the Vince McMahon is Satan one on red paper with black letters. That was a nice touch, too.
That was good.
Well,
Which is
first
true.
the XFL, now WCW Venture, a dumbass. That one was very creative, too. So.
And I
was waiting for the Bam Bam Bigelow just put in an application at Home Depot. Though, so
or for the local
didn't
fire
happen.
department. Well, that's the first part of our WWF WCW view. We're going to come back. We're going to talk a little bit more about what WCW has as far as its future goes. Some different talk about what their television deal is going to be and things like that. So we'll get into that next.
WWF and their acquisition of World Championship Wrestling.
We should just mention, we always come back from these breaks laughing. We were just laughing about Tony Atlas and Rocky Johnson.
Yeah, well, do you want to tell the story since
I don't care. I just think we should leave people in suspense. Just tell them what we were joking. I mean, you can tell it if you want.
No, and it's fine. The moment's passed.
Yeah. Anything referring to Tony Atlas is funny, but I'm sorry, you were saying.
No, I was just talking about the show and what we're going to talk about now.
Good job.
Yeah, what transition. We masterful at it. But one of the questions I wanted to bring up before our last segment was, do you think Vince McMahon's maybe spreading himself a little thin with obviously WWF writing and WCW writing? Obviously, he's going to have people working underneath him. But, I mean, do you think it's a sense that maybe he'll get tired and maybe bored with this?
I don't know. I think he's going to, at least from a lot of the, God, we know so little about this right now. I mean, because it's just so preliminary, everything that's going on. But a lot of the initial reports say that some of the WCW personnel will be maintained. And I think that, he'll probably keep the right people in place over there. And probably Shane will literally do a lot of the work over there.
Give Kevin Sullivan a call, see if he's busy.
Yeah. Pull him
want to
out
come
of the
back
toilet.
and crush our ratings.
Yeah. So I think that, Vince will probably focus most of his attention on the WWF and sort of let Shane take over WCW, because hell, he's going to do Vince's job in 20 years anyway, so it's time to learn.
I mean, that's the thing, the acquisition of Paul Heyman. Now you see how important it was with, Heyman being in charge or maybe semi in charge of the WWF's booking, and now Vince can more concentrate on, WCW and trying to make it profitable again.
I mean, just for the record, it was reported, I may be wrong saying this, so correct me if I'm wrong, but Bruce...
We will.
I was going to say Bruce Mitchell. Thanks a lot, Ed.
Bruce Mitchell.
Brother Love, otherwise known as Bruce Pritchard, and Brother, I believe, last night were at Nitro, not last night, this past Monday, with Shane to go over
and
some
Jerry
matches.
Briscoe, I believe.
Oh, thank God for that. When somebody needed to tune. We lived in Florida, for God's sake.
Sure.
But, you have good people. Well, I don't want to say
Who's
good
out there
people.
stealing hubcaps, right?
You have people who actually know what they're doing. As far as those three go, I don't know about Briscoe. He's another case.
He's another Jim Thorpe.
But rather than pull some moron out of college, well, like myself, hey, you want to write? Oh, sure. I don't know anything about wrestling. That's how I got cast for this show. So, but in effect, WCW, well, the WWF will have decent people working behind the scenes who know what they're doing, unlike in the past.
They'll probably need more television writers, but also important to mention Terry Taylor and Johnny Ace. You guys have been running Nitro, I don't know, a couple months now. It
Like
seems
a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, right. But they have talked with them, two good wrestling minds, both of which have different strengths, and
Well, like running it like an unoiled machine. Well, you know, Rennie, actually, you and I participated in a Triple H conference call last week, and he made a point that one of the reasons WWF was able to maintain their popularity and their success over WCW and ECW is because they had wrestling people involved, and they had people who knew what they were doing, had a passion for the business, and not just 9-to-5 suit and tie guys who just wanted to go, you know, make their money and, you know, maybe we'll do a couple things for WCW and then we'll go home.
Did you ever try to call WCW?
Yeah.
It's like trying to call the White House.
I got a packet of photos from I don't even know if this lady worked for WCW. She answered the phone, but, you know, I just said, hey, can you just go in your drawers and send me some pictures?
I think she stopped after WC and then she just said hello.
Yeah. But I think that's what WWF's going to do here is they're going to put these people in charge, the wrestling people, the people who understand the intricacies of the business and the things that make it work. And that is what has kept WWF on top. And, you know, we always talk about on this show about how well the promotions run. We're always ripping WCW, and there's a reason for that. Not because we prefer one over the other, believe it or not, but because one's run correctly and one's not. And now, hopefully, both will be.
Well, that's one of the points that I think, I'm not sure if Triple H brought it up, but someone did bring it up, the fact that, you know, Turner owns a lot of different things, and WCW is just one facet of Turner.
And a small one.
Exactly. So, you know, you have guys that are employed by Turner, and they get sent to WCW to do certain work. And the thing is, if they're not enamored or they don't like wrestling, then they're obviously not going to do their jobs that well, and that's where the problem starts.
Oh, sure. And, you know, not only start, but manifest. I mean,
exactly.
You know, just look at the hell they've gone through for the past 2.5 years.
I mean, you have guys like, you know, not that Kevin Sullivan isn't a wrestling mind, but I mean, I just don't think he's, you know, I don't think he's that good enough to be in charge of a wrestling company. You know, these guys are slapping 5s for 1.5 ratings on the fax machine the next day, Tuesday mornings. I mean, they just have the wrong people.
But one of the areas that the WWF would improve on things for WCW, like products, T-shirts, video games, you know, simple little things like that. That, you know, there's money to be made in those areas. That
yeah, no more navy blue Booker T-shirts, please. Good
True.
God.
Ring music, I believe Tom mentioned that last week, and just simple stuff like that that you have to pay attention to, or like you said, it manifests.
Well, I have to give a shout out right now. Whoever runs WCW right
shout
now,
out?
shout out, whatever. Whoever runs WCW at the moment, Shane McMahon or the people underneath him, don't retain Jimmy Hart for God's sakes. I don't care if he's friends with David Wolf or not, or Cyndi Lauper. He can't write any music.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys I think we can list that, you know, we pray to God aren't retained by WCW.
You have Chris Kanyon coming out I'm sorry, I was going to say Breed, but what was it, Bush? I forget what the name of the song was, actually, but my God, it's a blatant ripoff. Why can't they get sued?
Or pick a good song to rip off for the love of
Well,
God.
in the midst of Tom's death threat on Jimmy Hart, he did bring
that
up
was a couple weeks ago.
He did bring up a good point. There are some wrestlers that are WCW obviously aren't going to keep, and we can start going through a little bit of a list.
Yeah, we saw most of them on Raw. Jeff Jarrett, Animal, Totally Buff.
See, that Animal, he's great. I mean, they should get him on Hollywood Squares. Just sitting next to,
Why? Because he can gain the most weight in the shortest time.
Sitting next to Dom DeLuise while he's cooking up in that corner square.
Dude,
These guys are perfect.
Stevens.
Yeah, there you
Jeez. Jim J. Bullock.
But
all
also,
together.
not Jim J. Bullock. I believe he will be retained by the
Yes.
WWF. But you have guys like Dustin Rhodes, obviously, who aren't coming back, I would assume.
Jim J. Bullock will be playing Gold Dust, by the way.
That's a little too real for my taste.
Yeah.
But who else, Brian? Big Boss, man. He's
Kevin
with the wrong
Nash.
company.
Yeah.
Kevin Nash has, and you can quote him as saying, you know, he's sitting at home collecting $3 million for the next 8 months, and
Why can't he just
indicative-
why can't he
indicative of
get
the
hit by a
WCW
car or
attitude.
something? Do something useful. Have another knee operation.
I'm sure
My
there's a lot
God.
of guys on the WCW roster. I mean, we also got to point out the contracts are one of the big sticking points for guys like Dustin Rhodes, obviously not Jeff Jarrett, Booker T, Sting, and you'll see a lot of renegotiated deals coming down the next couple of weeks.
Was Sting one of those names going to be retained, or is he?
I haven't seen it anywhere.
Obviously,
But
like
you're
you said,
right.
Brian.
I saw it
everything-
on one list, and it always seemed through the last couple of years, Sting was one name McMahon always seemed to want and like for whatever reason.
And he never jumped when everybody else did. He didn't jump.
Yep.
Much
One-
to the dismay of Diamond David Lee Roth.
One thing we should bring up is the fact that WWF made a small list of guys they want. Most of them are mid
Right.
to low card wrestlers, and the
good
big
ones.
Yeah, right. The big names though, they have to wait for Turner to buy out those massive contracts before the WWF can restructure under WWF type contracts with the downside guarantees and things of that sort. So
We should just point out one more thing before we go to break, is that TNN looks like they're going to be airing WCW programming. It looks like Saturday nights, 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. in the morning. No start date yet on that, so we'll
I
keep you
heard
posted.
between 6 to 8 weeks
Yeah.
WCW is going to be dormant. So take that for what it's worth. But I'm not saying dark.
Sorry.
So anyway, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about some more wrestling stuff. So stay tuned.
forgotten, WrestleMania is tomorrow night. Big week for everything.
Okay.
I know I've forgotten.
Yeah.
Completely slipped my mind.
Yeah, well, it's been a busy week.
Well, it's not the 12-hour WrestleMania as last year's, right?
No, this one's
Oh,
23
God.
hours.
Oh, thank God.
It took us 2.5 hours to order the show last year.
Really?
I swear to God.
Brian, you need a hot box.
Yeah.
Hey, it's
That's
illegal
Tom
to do
Convetti
that.
at.
It was ridiculous. We were on a. I don't
Doesn't
wanna
it usually
get into
take 2.5 hours to order any pay-per-view?
Well, not now because I've got digital cable. It takes like 30 minutes now.
Prime Star.
Yeah. Well, the big main event tomorrow night is a rematch from WrestleMania 15. It's the Rock against Steve Austin, in case you didn't know.
Yay.
Yeah.
Two of Tom's favorite people.
Let's put it this way. If The Rock loses, do I care? And if Austin wins, he's not going to wrestle anybody but The Undertaker because he doesn't want to.
Well, we have a clip queued up, actually, of that WrestleMania 15 encounter. So, Mr. Blotzer, if you please, here it comes.
And an encounter it was.
What
Yeah.
an encounter.
I thought the match sucked.
It was okay. It was all right.
I just
Just
for all-
wake up. I thought it's.
for all the hype and everything that went into this later means a little bit more from a sense that now they're both mainstream stars.
Right.
So that's why they're going with the whole 65,000 people, biggest WrestleMania match of all time. Quite frankly, I don't think Deborah needed to be added to sell this match, but it's nice that she's in there for us from a storyline perspective. But
Yeah, it added a
you know,
little bit more depth.
the point is these two are much bigger stars now than what they were 2 years ago.
Oh, without question.
And I think what adds to it is the fact that I can't recall these guys ever wrestling since then, one-on-one. And I don't know if that's correct or not.
They wrestled the following month at
But still,
whatever
2
that
years.
pay-per-view was.
Give it 2 years.
Yeah, it's
And
been about
that
2
goes
years.
a long way to this match meaning a lot.
Well, from my perspective, I mean, I am skeptical about The Rock as the day is long. And there have been reports Austin's going to turn heel after WrestleMania, Rock's going to turn heel, da-da-da. Well, if you watched SmackDown a couple weeks ago, I believe last week with the 25-minute interview monologue with Ross, I don't even know who's
Rock
in
and
there.
Austin. It was
Exactly.
The two participants.
Every time The Rock opened his mouth to say something not so much derogatory against Austin, he was booed.
Yeah.
Ooh, my words
You
are
know,
starting to travel the
it would
airwaves
seem-
about The Rock.
It would seem the easier thing would be to turn Austin because you have Deborah there and they can both turn on The Rock. But I don't think that's going to I don't think it
I
can
want the whole
happen.
locker room to turn on The Rock. Just come out and beat the living piss out of him.
You're not going to turn Austin heel in Texas at WrestleMania. It's
Yeah,
not.
good point.
If you can do it, I'll be impressed. Very impressed.
But can you turn Austin heel at all right now, who's clearly more popular than The Rock?
There's always the
That's
Vince
thing.
factor.
I think they were trying that, and I don't think they can right now.
There's always the Vince
It's
factor.
just going to be
Yeah,
one of those cases.
that's
If
a
you
good
if you
point.
do try to do it, he's going to beat the hell out of The Rock, or however they have him turn on The Rock. I assume that would be the number one face you turn against. They're going to cheer Austin and boo The Rock.
You know what?
Vince.
I agree with you,
Shut
but Vince,
Vince.
in a 10-minute period this past Monday, Vince McMahon managed to put public support in a big way behind WCW. I wouldn't put it past him. And like you just said, the Vince factor. You're damn right. I think that is the only way right now that Steve Austin can turn heel.
Definitely.
Is that if this whole thing at WrestleMania ends with him in a loving embrace in Vince McMahon's arms, which will throw Jim Ross into a murderous rage. But
I just don't see it.
Damn him the hell.
That's the only way Austin's going to be a heel. You're
Yeah,
not
yeah,
going
I
to
think
do
it's
it in
the only way
Texas.
I agree.
But I
Call
think
me
they took
stupid.
steps this past week. I think it's leaning towards Rock turning heel. Maybe he gets upset over the loss, which
but
I bet still wants going to happen.
The thing is, Rock turning heel is worthless because he's leaving. It doesn't mean anything.
Then, well, really,
Now no one's going to go see his movie if he's a
that's
heel.
true.
Jeez.
But if you look at it that way, doing anything with The Rock at this point, keeping the belt on The Rock is worthless then. If that is the direction they're going, and it's obviously not going to right now.
Well, like I said, call me cynical once again, but I
Cynical.
realize I don't cheer and boo anymore for my favorites or the guys I hate or like, right, Rennie? I don't boo that anymore. Can
Just
you see
Triple H.
anybody? If Austin and McMahon, let's say they do embrace, just to make a long story short,
Isn't sure for
can you
Chris
see
Benoit.
anybody booing Austin? Maybe I am just I have such
I
a
think
blind
Rennie has a
rage
good
against The
point.
Rock.
We were overlooking the Texas point. That's
Good
going to be
luck.
tough to overcome
Good luck.
in 2 days.
70,000. I was going to say something else. Texans
yeah.
behind Stone Cold Steve
Hey, the
Austin.
Montreal people turned on Brett, the Benedict
Well,
Brett. You all
yeah,
remember
Brett
that
sucked.
incident.
I mean,
Hey,
Well, Brett sold out. Vince told you. I mean, I listened.
I
Vince.
mean, interrupt, Tom. It's in the contract. I'm the cynical one. It's in my
What-
contract.
I'm the pessimistic one then. I
No,
guess.
I'm that.
What do we do?
Well, I'm the optimistic
I'm
one.
just-
You're the responsible.
We sit
You're the
here-
responsible good job people. I
I'm the
think.
protagonist. I'm the good guy, much like Conan O'Brien, whatever the hell that means.
I thought you were saying Conan the K-Dog.
Oh, he wasn't retained, was he?
I hope not.
Thank you.
But what was the point that Tom brought up about if Steve Austin does win the world title? Where does this leave his matches? Since There were some, I mean, take them for what they're worth. They're just rumors that Austin wants to wrestle certain guys because he only has a few years left.
Sounds familiar, doesn't it?
To me, I think
but, you don't. I don't know. I don't know.
you can't. Yeah, you can't prove anything. Like I said, they're rumors, so we don't know if they're true. But you just take them for what they're worth, I guess.
True. Well, we have lots more WrestleMania 17 to go over. We only went through one match in 7 minutes, so
Very heated.
Yeah. So we're gonna come back and we're gonna get into the meat of the card. We have a winner this week.
And that winner is Dino DeGregory II of the Port in Pennsylvania.
Port de McKee.
Congratulations, Brian. Tell the man what he's won.
Dino, here's what you win, pal. You win a large pizza with one topping, an order of wings. Yeah. Listen, pal. And you win a 2-liter bottle of some sort of carbonated beverage from Pizza Works. They have 3 outlets. They are in Jefferson Hills, Javosburg, Finleyville. So wherever you feel like redeeming, I don't care.
It's like a Vince thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to read the
great.
questions here and the answers. What
the
was
hell
Cyrus's? Sorry. What was Cyrus's name from ECW? Or no. What was Cyrus's name in the WWF? Was the Jackal. Great. Who won the 1998 King of the Ring, which was in Pittsburgh? Ken Shamrock. Who? What was the main event of ECW's first pay-per-view? Terry Funk versus Raven. We also would have accepted, easy for me to say,
Yeah.
Sabu and Taz because it was on the shirt. And the answer from last week's question was Bloomington, Minnesota at the Mall of America. So Green Gate Mall is going to have WrestleMania 50-something
52.
soon. But
Question this week from our crack staff of researchers. They really came through on this one, guys. What WCW event went head-to-head on live television with WrestleMania 4? You got to answer that.
say that again. It's a little convoluted.
Well, real quick, you got to answer this one. You got to answer the 3 on the website. You got to include your name and address. What WCW event went head-to-head on live TV with WrestleMania 4? If you listen closely Monday night, you know the answer.
Well, good luck, and if you need help, I believe Phil Mushnick of the New York Post will lend you. He has everything on tape, so he will lend you a hand. So happy guessing. And
You have to share your pizza with him?
well, he doesn't eat pizza, Jim. He's a moralist. Happy guessing, and we'll read the answer next week. Good luck.
Oh, man.
We talked a little bit about the main event at WrestleMania, which I could basically give a damn about. So let's go into some of the other matches. Don't want you to think the whole show's full of bad humor.
You're just a freak, man.
What?
You're just a freak.
In like a freaky kind of way?
Yes, it's usually
Like
what
an outer
freak
skin
means.
kind of way.
That's right.
Honestly, the main event, I don't care if, like I said in the last segment,
I was
Austin
referring to your
winning,
intro, but not that part.
man.
You're just.
Austin winning doesn't
A lunatic.
appease me, and The Rock, like if he would retire, I'd be happy.
Well,
Maybe we'll get on the bright side. Maybe Deborah will do nothing and suck at it.
She does that every time anyway. She was drunk the one time she announced Edge and Christian's name. Winner
yeah.
of the match is Adam Copeland. Oh, geez. But
what's it say on this card?
can we all agree probably that the show stealer on this card, well, my hero number 1, Chris Benoit, Kurt Angle, definitely the match on this card to watch.
You know,
I
what,
agree.
before we get into that, because you mentioned that because Chris Benoit was donning one. What the hell was with the WrestleMania 17 baseball jerseys on Raw Monday?
Brian,
What the hell?
They're made of silk and they're $85.
My God, everybody had one.
They have a big X7 on the back too.
Rick
That's really
Steiner
cool.
had. I mean, this is ridiculous.
That was his part of his severance pay.
Oh my God.
I can understand
That
how that would bother
cheeseburger.
you, though. I mean, I caught that. Of course, you know, The Rock won't wear one because he's
Yeah.
cool like DAT that.
Yeah, I agree with you though about Angle Benoit. That's, I mean, granted, it didn't get a whole lot of build up, but that's just, dear God.
The
it's a
exchange
technical
last Monday on
dream.
Raw between the two, between the crossface and the Angle pick. My God, I was jumping out of my seat.
And that's
I
one
don't
of
do
those
that
matches
very
you
often.
hope you don't put too much hope into it being a classic, because you might come away, you know, maybe I think they're going to perform well. Obviously, I think they're past that point where they'll just go out and tank it. But you know, you don't want to look at it and say, well,
Yeah.
It's an Aja Kong match. Let's tank it.
Last time I checked, Big Vito and Chris Benoit are 2 different people. But
Yeah.
that's true too. But no, you just don't want to go into too high expectations with this match.
well, some of the hype, well, I wouldn't say hype, but some of the criticism on the internet was what you said, Brian, that the Chris Benoit Kurt Angle match, or I'm sorry, build up, there wasn't enough of it.
Right.
It happened too soon. They announced the match too late. Still, I mean, if these guys go at WrestleMania and compete and have a good match, I mean, hype's hype. I mean, you know, there's still going to be how many shows you have. Obviously, SmackDown, which
Right.
aired this past Thursday. I'm sure there was a ton of hype for that. All the weekend shows, Heat. I mean, you know, hype's
Yeah,
hype.
I
you
mean,
know, we've been hyping. How long have we been hyping Rock and Austin now? 4 weeks.
6 years.
Does anybody else just, you know,
Sick to death of it?
just have the
We'll wait
match?
for it.
Yeah,
So I think hype's
I
overrated.
think the point of the whole match is, I think it's going to be the point is getting Benoit over as a face. I think the hype in the match itself may not be as important as that.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, Chris Benoit's going to have an amputation to have a bad match, and same with Kurt Angle. I mean, you really can't go wrong with these two guys.
If Benoit has an amputation, takes an arm off, can he give it to Billy Gunn?
No, I want the arm. Then I can beat The Rock with
Maybe
it.
they can transfer it and help Billy Gunn out.
Well, another big match actually is for the Intercontinental title. It's Chris Jericho against William Regal, who's probably now the funniest man in pro wrestling. And this is another one, which this really should be an interesting match, not only because the two styles should complement each other rather well, but because probably halfway through the match, after about 16 chops to the chest, most of William Regal is going to be pale white, and his chest is just going to have big red hand marks all over it, which is going to be nice. But
This has the WrestleMania matches on it. I don't know them
That's
off
what
by heart.
you're
It's not
doing.
WrestleMania 3. Also on the card, I'll just run down some of these matches. We have Chyna and Ivory for the women's title, I believe. Next match.
thank God there was no hype for that.
Let's get back to that Jericho match.
Hey, you know who's wrestling on WrestleMania? Taz.
He
That
is.
little guy.
He's leaving the announcing booth, and he won last Monday on
right.
Raw when the match had lasted about 35 seconds.
He's
but
over like a champ now. It's ridiculous. He put Stevie Richards in the Kata Hajime on SmackDown, and it was like, Hogan entered the building in 1985. Seriously, people are going nuts
I
for
want
him.
to backtrack a little bit here, bring up an interesting point. You think Taz is a substitute to Jerry Lawler right now in this feud, or do you think Taz would have worked its way into the match, maybe saving Lawler at one point? And
I don't think
Oh,
Lawler would
God.
have had a match. I don't know. I just think that probably would have played out between No Way Out and now.
Well, here's the thing about Taz, and we talk about Taz all the time, about how he doesn't wrestle enough.
Yeah.
The thing is, Taz is one of those guys, I mean, granted, maybe his attitude sucks in the locker room. Maybe he came in with too big of a head. But the thing is, he's one of those guys that he's talented behind the mic, he's a very good wrestler, and you're just not going to be able to keep him down
Right.
the whole time he's in the WWF.
I
So
think that's part of it.
sooner or later, these guys are going to break through. I
Right.
mean, it's just a matter of time.
You're right. So why put him in something right now? I don't mean this RTC thing is right now, but why put him in something that's totally meaningless?
Exposure on your biggest show ever.
No.
No, I don't mean the
go beyond
RTC
that.
feud. I mean, as opposed to him announcing as him wrestling meaningless feuds.
Well, I don't know. I
I mean, he is on every week.
I just think it's to put him out there and let him wrestle.
Let's put it this way. There's 6 guys right now that aren't doing anything for WrestleMania. Let's put them in a 6-man tag. Let's get the WrestleMania payoff. That's why he's with the Acolytes. That's why they're wrestling right to censor.
Yeah, and
Yeah, but
the
you know,
Acolytes
it's
are
not like
over,
they're
they
doing
just
it
never
without a
did anything.
story, though. I mean,
Let's look back to last year's
backstory to it.
WrestleMania. Kane and Rikishi.
Oh,
Who the
I
hell
don't
did
even
they
wanna talk
wrestle?
about it. Yeah, Road Dogg and X-Pac.
Oh,
That's
thank
bad.
God. I missed that match.
Yeah, you're
I
lucky.
was vomiting.
We also have, well, actually, speaking of sort of, to make a sort of a tie into that match, we have the 3-way hardcore match between Raven, Big Show, Kane, and Pete Rose. Because
Yes.
Pete Rose, number 1 is going to show, and number 2 is going to get the hardcore title at least. For
Oh, you got to be
30
kidding. I never even
it's
thought
got-
about
it's gotta
that.
happen. It's got to happen. Pete Rose will be a hardcore champion by the time the weekend's over.
Well, Tom might be the hardcore champion by the weekend's over if he's going to access, like he said,
No, I'm buying the hardcore.
with that
the
sniper
replica
that
hardcore
has The
belt.
Rock's name on it.
Yeah,
I'm
that's-
going after his father. Go ahead, Brian.
No, it's just to show you how important the hardcore title is because Pete Rose is going to get a title reign, and I'm totally okay with that.
Well, it was nice of them to throw Raven in there, though, so, kind of break up the monotony of the Big Show and Kane exchanging chokeholds.
Yeah, I
it's
get-
another
it's a
thing,
little
too,
different.
to get Raven on the show.
Yeah, I think it's one of those situations. I think Raven's the one taking most of the bumps as well.
Really?
Yeah,
I thought maybe Show was going to do a moonsault.
Let's go over some of these matches.
Yeah, we
got like a minute
quickly.
left.
TLC 2 coming up.
Can't improve upon the first one. Why try? Enough said for that.
But you got to
Yeah.
cover the Hardy Boys' weaknesses with this match.
Turn your chair
Oh,
that
come on.
Yeah, but I think this is one where the Dudleys maybe come away with this one. It's kind of their time to really shine, and it's time to also start building up some new tag teams because as good as these 3 teams are, they're getting stale, and it's time just for some new competition. We also have
like the X Factor.
We also have Triple H versus
Well,
K
actually, that-
Quick,
that's
and
legit.
probably another show stealer on the card.
what was that?
Triple H and K Quick.
Cake Quick, I
Cake
think,
Quick
is
getting that
What conference
bump.
call were you on? I was on my own.
Yeah, you must have been. You playing the role of Triple H.
No, I'm Blackjack Brown.
No. We also have the gimmick battle royal, which will be 5 minutes of comedy. It'll probably end with somebody losing their head.
But tell him the coolest part about the gimmick battle royal, Brian. You have to mention his name. who we
Corporal
thought he was
Kirshner's
dead.
going to be in it.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Get
I'm
those
just surprised
LJNs
he made
out.
parole for this, I believe.
If Corporal Kirshner's at WrestleMania.
He made bail.
It's the greatest pay-per-view of all time. I know there's we're test against Eddie Guerrero for the European title.
The match will be wrestled at WWF New York, by the way.
Right.
Winner gets a free fries, I think.
Oh, hey, that you can't
Some of
discount
those cool
that.
flower shirts Michael Cole had on Heat this past Sunday.
That's true.
I think that's all the matches.
Yeah, well,
Fastest 2 minutes in television.
we're going to come back. We're going to just take one more look at WrestleMania 17. We're going to kind of go through and give our picks as who we think are going to win the matches, and hopefully my picks won't be as bad as they are in my columns every week. So we'll be
Me
back.
too.
Does anything more need to be said at this point?
The future of the wrestling's industry is in our hands. Yeah, we're gonna go into the WrestleMania 17 matches again, but what we're gonna do is we're all gonna kind of go down the line here and give our predictions as to who we believe are going to win.
Whoever gets the most right gets a pizza next week, and
Yeah.
there's going to be no trivia. No, we're just kidding.
Well, let's start with the match we forgot to mention last segment, and that being, sort of a big match. Vince McMahon against Shane McMahon.
With Dewey Foley as the special referee.
Hey, you son of a! Don't bring up his son.
I thought that was his
No,
dog.
I'm
That's
kidding.
Noel. I'm
kidding.
sorry.
There was a big controversy in ECW about that. But anyway, I don't know. Vince, Shane, Jim.
I'm going to go with Vince, and I'm going to say the storyline is going to be more paramount than the match itself.
I think I'm going to say Shane McMahon just to be different than Jim.
I think.
No, there is a reason behind it, but I'd rather not divulge.
Okay. Hot scoop. Blackjack Brown.
Me and Blackjack are
Save
like
it for
this.
the call. I need somebody to read it this week.
I'm going to say Vince McMahon's going to win also. I'm going to say that somebody unexpected is going to help him.
I'm going to go along with those lines and pick Shane with that person helping McMahon. Well, Shane that way anyway. Not turning on the boy. Anyway, next match.
Okay, I guess the gimmick battle royal.
Corporal Kirschnell, I don't care. It'd be great if the Warrior was in it and won. The Ultimate Warrior. You guys remember him, don't you?
No.
For your time? What?
Corporal Kirshner rocked. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm going to go with the Iron Sheik, and then afterwards I want to see him do the hammer throw like he did in the Heroes of Wrestling and possibly blow his back out again. So.
I think he's going to finally give birth. It's going to be a 6-pound baby boy, and we'll all be happy. I'm going to say if they're in the battle royal and they haven't been announced, how about the Huckster or the Nacho Man?
That would be great.
And I'm going to say one of those two guys would win. But if not,
You remember Huckster coming out to Real American with the oxygen mask on his around his face? That was...
if not, I'm going to say Michael Hayes. They're deep in the heart of Texas, and that was world-class territory.
How
so
about
I'm
one
gonna say
last
Michael
shot? Billionaire Ted.
Hayes. It could be that. I'm going to say Michael Hayes.
I'm reminded of the Japanese death matches where the ring explodes.
Oh,
And I
that'd be
realize
great.
that WWF is in a building and can't do that, but maybe it'll happen anyway. So I'm going to go with the ring exploding. Go ahead.
Well, we got Test Eddie Guerrero.
Uh-oh.
I don't know. There's not much story. I'll go with Test for this title continuity.
Test. I think WWF's pretty much solid behind him. So
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree. Test looks like he's in the middle of a pretty nice push.
Test. I don't know.
You can do other things.
There's no
with Eddie Guerrero,
storyline to this
too.
match whatsoever.
Yeah.
So
well,
It's
Eddie had the
inconsequential.
hot wings at WWF New York
Yeah.
as opposed to Test's favorite Buffalo wings.
yeah, but then he rubbed the sauce in his eye, and then all hell broke loose.
No wet naps were to be found.
Undertaker Triple H.
That's a tough one. Triple H. No, I'll amend it. Double DQ. Double DQ.
Double DQ. Huh, that's not bad. I'm going to say Triple H is going to win it, but I don't think this match won't end that feud.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that too. I'll say Triple H also, and I agree that the feud is going to rage on for months.
Well, being that the two, well, they've wrestled obviously before. Hunter's never beaten the Undertaker as storyline goes or whatever. Hunter's going to win.
And end Undertaker's WrestleMania winning streak. He's undefeated at
Uh-huh.
WrestleManias.
And we got a friend that's probably going to cry when that happens.
Yeah. Ivory China for the women's title.
Next match.
Yeah.
I don't care, man. They kind of sucks.
Yeah, but she got a brittle
Who
neck.
cares?
Like Steve Austin.
Same injury as him,
I'm
mister.
sorry, it was tasteless. The email was
Just,
move on.
just blurt out a name.
China, I don't care.
Yeah, this one's not, well, I'm not going to say this, but it shouldn't be too hard to pick China for this one. She's coming back off of the injury, so WWF's... What was that? He gave me like some kind of machination over there.
It was. I'm going to say they compensate for China's awful autobiography and give her the women's title.
Well, you know, coming from, as a former Intercontinental Champion, World Champion, a pie eating champion, why does China need the women's title? I'm going with Ivory for the fact that I don't care.
Well said.
APA and Taz against Right to Censor.
The little guy.
I think Taz gets the big win. I'll say that team wins. Taz gets the tap out win.
I'm going to agree with Jim, even though it sucks.
Thank you, man.
Get your hand away.
I think maybe Bradshaw could get the win here. Again, we're in the heart of Texas. That's Bradshaw's territory. Maybe you give the hometown boy the win. But not only do I say that this team wins, but I say the beginning of the end of Right to Censor begins here.
I'm going to say Taz gets the win, but not over somebody in right to censor. I say a fan comes in, causes a disturbance, Taz pins him, and they
That'd be perfect for you. Raw comes in, makes a save, and Taz pins him.
oh my, they burn him at the
mark out
stake,
like a
much like Phil
champ.
Bushnick.
Chris Jericho, William Regal for the Intercontinental title.
I'd go with Chris Jericho, and I hope it's Chris Jericho. But I don't think it's going to be.
Yeah, I don't think Regal really needs the Intercontinental title. His character is over enough on TV as the commissioner. I think Jericho keeps the title and moves on to fight somebody different.
I'm going to say, I'll go against the grain then. I'll say William Regal. He's kind of, the character's really been building up, and it looks like it's his time to sort of jump up higher in the story, so I'll say William Regal.
Well, does Jericho have the lifts on or lifts off?
Well, let's just say, yeah, it doesn't matter.
About halfway.
Yeah.
William Regal's only 5'10", isn't he?
Well, like the point you brought
You
up.
can tell him that, not me.
yeah,
He's 6
true.
foot as far as I'm concerned.
For whatever reason, he said he wasn't even listening to me about Regal already being established as the commissioner. Jericho's had a decent run with the IC title. Keep it on him.
We have Big Show, Raven, Kane, Hardcore title. Jim. Who's going to end up with the Hardcore title? Let's put it
Pete,
that way.
I like your idea. Why not Pete Rose?
End up with it?
Yeah, sure.
And lose it on Raw?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
He needs the money.
Ready?
He needs a Hall of Fame
I'm
push.
not listening anymore.
I think Big Show's going to win it because I think Raven's going to fall asleep in the corner watching these two wrestle, so someone's just going to drag him out and pin him. So,
Let's
seriously
win.
though, I think Raven's going to keep the title. Big Show and Kane aren't in a position to win it anyway.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that. I'm going to say Raven. Why not?
I'm not going to pick one, but does the hardcore title mean anything? And I'll just leave it at that.
Steve
No, 'cause Pete
Blackman's
Rose
going to
is
come
gonna
out and
have
win
It
it.
means more than the women's title, I think.
Go buy the hardcore video, recently
All right,
released.
TLC 2.
I like the Dudleys, but I don't think they're going to come away with the belts. Like you said last segment, it's their time. Give them the big push. I think you can get behind them and develop more of a division around them.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that. I think the Dudley Boys win this match. I think this match possibly leads to the breakup of the Hardys and Edge and Christian, who we said earlier in the show are, ready to move on into something else.
I'm going to say the Dudleys win as well and move on to Just Incredible and X-Pac.
Ditto.
Ditto.
Just like the movie goes.
All right, we got 2 more matches
Yeah.
and possibly 3. Let's go.
Benoit Angle.
Benoit.
Angle, because Benoit never wins his pay-per-view match.
Angle just because he tapped on Raw. Of course, SmackDown hasn't aired by the time we tape this, but I'm just going to say Kurt Angle.
I agree with your reasoning, Brian. Over for Kurt Angle to win, plus Benoit never wins, and I want him to.
Plus, he's turning babyface, so he needs the sympathy.
Time for the
Here we
big
go.
one.
Rock Austin.
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 No opinion.
Well, you just lumped the WWE World Title in with the women's title. That's really scary.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna take Tom's backlash here. I'm really looking forward to Rock Austin. I'm actually excited about it. Call me a sucker for big.
If you want to watch
Sucker
the match, watch the
stars.
hardcore match. It's going
I still
to
think
compose with the
I
same
don't think
ingredients.
it will. I think it's gonna be a much better match.
I think it's going to be a
than
good
we're all
match.
expecting.
I think it's one of those situations where it's a shame where Rock isn't going to get the big win he finally needs
Yeah.
over Austin, but I'm sorry. Slap my hand or something?
Oh, you had to go right over to Morocco and film with Brendan Fraser. He has the title in the desert.
Well, we're being shown the door here, so we're gonna come back. We're gonna do our rants section. So please return.
Kevin Nash mentioned throughout the show. If you cut his interview on WrestleLine, it's amazing what a sanctimonious bastard he's turned into. The comment, one of the main comments, sorry.
Sorry, Bethel Park.
Yeah.
No,
One of the
not
main
really.
comments he said was, he talked about Johnny Ace being a booker and Animal coming back. They're related somehow. His exact quote was something to the effect of, well, the young guys in WCW know they didn't have a chance because bookers were bringing in their friends and family. Yeah, gosh, Kev, you never did that, did you? Yeah, it's just amazing. He goes on throughout the interview, and you really have to read it. And later this week, I will go on my page and rip him some more, so check out ProWrestlingReview.com for that. But it's amazing. The guy's 7 foot tall, and he has his head up his ass. The best thing for Kevin Nash, the best thing for wrestling, stay home, collect the $2 million you got left guaranteed, and don't come back, because you're useless and you suck. So,
Really going to write something, huh?
I've been updating lately, man. I update that question every week.
You're a
But no,
champ.
Kevin Nash, stay the hell home. I mean, that's all I can say about that.
Well said. Never mind. I'll leave it. I want to talk a little bit about some more events that happened on Nitro. The first thing was Ric Flair's promo to start the show. We've seen this ridiculous Ric Flair character for the past few weeks leading around the group. I guess they're called the Elite. I don't even know. I wasn't paying attention. His interview on Nitro was very well planned out. It was very good. It came from the heart. It was vintage Ric Flair. Later on that night, he wrestled Sting in what I thought was a fitting match to end WCW's run on TNT and TBS, and TBS, one of the things that came up was one of the questions was, should Sting be retained by the WWF? I think it's one of those situations where I don't really think Sting's heart is still in professional wrestling. I think Sting he has other things that he's more interested in, possibly movies, maybe Shutter Speed 2's in the works. We're not really sure. No, I'm very serious about that. But one of the things, I think the WWF really could do a lot with Sting. I think Sting needs to come back. He needs to drop the crow gimmick. He needs to drop the face paint. I think he needs to come back as Steve Borden. He needs to come out with the jeans and the leather jacket, the sunglasses, and just be himself. And as far as Ric Flair's WWF, possibility of him being in the WWF, I think Ric Flair will always live and breathe and sweat and die professional wrestling. I think the WWF can do a lot with him, even though he's in, almost in his 50s. But, I think when you got Ric Flair, you have a really good acquisition. I think Sting, definitely has the potential to be that.
I guess sticking with the Nitro theme, we saw Scott Steiner drop the heavyweight title to Booker T pretty much the beginning of the show. And the one thing that people may not have realized, people may have thought of, well, it looks like these two guys maybe aren't working hard, as hard as they normally do, or maybe Scott Steiner's taking it easy. Well, he wasn't. Scott Steiner was wrestling in unbelievable pain through that entire match. And almost, not maybe to the same extent, but similar to the situation with Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 14, where Steiner worked through the whole match. You never knew that he had a bad back to the whole thing. He didn't take it easy. He still bumped. He still did his thing. And I got to give him a lot of credit for that. And I know we've said some not so nice things about him on this show before, but you got to give him credit for going out like a professional. And I know he's not on the WWF's priority list to be retained, and for good reason, for some of the things that he's done in the back and for some of his antics in the past. But from all reports, everybody's indicated that Scott Steiner showed up as a professional, volunteered to do whatever he had to do on that show last Monday. And went out and just did a classy job putting over Booker T. So I think maybe when WWF sits down and evaluates talent, maybe they ought to give Scott Steiner another look. You can give him a one strike and you're out policy. That's completely understandable. But the guy being 38 years old, he still has his legs left. Maybe give him another shot.
Sticking with the Nitro theme once again, I'm so excited to do this, can't you tell? But we mentioned before, first segment, second segment, guys that won't be retained by the WWF. And guess who's on the list? Probably at the top. Totally buff. Unbelievable. Two guys with attitudes that could probably, I don't know what the hell they could do with their attitudes. Just so bad as far as wrestling oriented, as far as business is concerned. It's about me, and about Return to Savage Beach or crashing a bus or whatever the hell. And they put themselves right out of wrestling. You got to love and respect that. And rumors or reports basically on the internet, they left Nitro before it even started. Thank you, Rennie, for that one. Would you? I would have been out of there before the damn shit. Why would you even go? There is no chance in hell that the WWF is going to retain their services with attitudes like that. Their performances in the ring are suck. Luger could wrestle back in the day, and Bagwell is more concerned with the jewelry around his neck and the cute little woman or guy on his tights to actually care about his matches. But just a little parting gift for Totally Buff. If you do need something to do besides XPW, these things always need filled. We have to drink out of these. I'm offering it to you once. Take it or leave it.
Or if you ever light a shirt on fire, it'll need extinguished.
Well, I don't have a Bagwell shirt, or I would light it on fire.
That'd be great.
Do they ever make a Bagwell shirt?
Well, he had his middle finger up, but we can't show that on here.
Pants down,
Oh, his character did.
Rennie, shoot.
Column this week. You can pick it up on the newsstands tomorrow, or you can read it on the web. It's www.triblive.com/sports. Hurry up and read it. They only leave it up for one day. I'm either going to talk about WrestleMania, maybe do a column on some more wrestling, different stuff. Wrestling.
Yeah.
They don't call me the Pro Wrestling Insider for anything.
That's right. My column Sharpshooter, you can read it today in the Daily News on newsstands everywhere, or on the internet at www.dailynewsmckeesport.com. I'll be giving a little bit of a more in-depth look at WrestleMania 17. Plus, I'm going to have a story on Triple H from the conference call already that you and I participated in. So check that out on the web or on newsstands right now.
When you're done with that, it's www.prowrestlingreview.com. Click on the trivia. You got to answer those three and answer this question. What WCW event went head-to-head live on live TV with WrestleMania 4? You got to answer all four, include your name and address.
And what the hell? Check out www.prowrestling. Well, that was bad. ProWrestlingReview.com. I promise to put something new on my page. If you want to read it, if you want to scope it out, like Parker Lewis would say, go right ahead. For all, www.prowrestlingreview.com.
It's right on the screen.
There you
Magic.
Ooh, well, for the first show after WCW has died. For myself, for Brian, for Rennie, for Jim, this is Burris Review saying we're probably going to buy ECW next week, so stay tuned.